So I just wanted to make this quick video to illustrate the differences between ions and isotopes, because a lot of students tend to have trouble, keeping those straight and not mixing them up. So first of all, I just wanted to review the parts of the atom with you again really quickly. So remember, atoms are made up of 3 subatomic particles. Those are protons, neutrons, and electrons. Remember, the protons and neutrons are both found in the center of the atom, which is called the nucleus. Keep in mind that protons have a positive charge, while neutrons are neutrally charged. Okay, so those are found in the nucleus of the atom. And then surrounding the nucleus, we have the electron orbitals, which is where the electrons will be found. And those are very small subatomic particles that have a negative charge. Okay. So this is just showing you a picture of an atom where those subatomic particles are found. Now also keep in mind that I told you guys that if that last shell, that outer valence shell, is not full, right? If that valence electron shell is not full, then that means that atom is going to be reactive, and it's going to want to interact with other atoms and either give up electrons to other atoms, or maybe take electrons from other atoms, or sometimes they might share electrons, okay? But they're going to do whatever they can in order to fill that outer shell, right, and make it a full. If it's the first shell, it's going to be full when it has 2 electrons, or if it's the second shell or any shell outside of the first, it's going to be considered full when it has 8 electrons in it, okay? So, having said that, let's talk about what an ion is. Okay, so sometimes, as I said before, you may have an atom that either loses or gains electrons in order to fill that outer valence shell. Okay, and if that happens, that's going to change the charge of that atom. If you think about it, right? Electrons have a negative charge. So let's just say that we have an atom that loses an electron. Then that means it's going to be losing a negative charge. So the overall charge of that atom is going to become more positively charged, right? So any atom that loses electrons is going to become a positively charged ion, which is called a cation, as you can see there, okay? Now, atoms that gain extra electrons, if they're gaining extra electrons, that means they are gaining negative charges. So the overall charge of that atom is going to become more negatively charged, right? So a negatively charged ion is called an anion, okay? So the way I remember this is cation has that T in it, right? T looks like a plus symbol, so cations are positively charged. Anions have that N, which lets me know that it's negative, right? So anions are negatively charged ions, okay? So an ion is a charged atom. It is an atom that has lost or gained electrons, and therefore it has changed in its charge. It's become either positively charged or a negatively charged atom, all right? So that's what an ion is. Now, let's try to distinguish that from an isotope, okay? An isotope is not a charged atom. It does not have a charge. Isotopes are atoms all of the same element. They have the same number of protons, but the number of neutrons is different between the isotopes. So in this picture here, you can see 3 different isotopes of hydrogen, okay? All 3 of these in this picture are elements of hydrogen. They're just different isotopes of hydrogen. Now, how do we know that these are all 3 hydrogen? We know it by looking at the number of protons. Remember, the number of protons tells you what element you are looking at in the periodic table. Since each one of these isotopes here has 1 proton, one of those little red guys, we know that all 3 of these are the element hydrogen. Now, as you can see, each of these has a different number of neutrons. All right, so the first one has no neutrons. So the atomic number of this first isotope is going to be 1, right, because we have 1 proton. All right, so that's the atomic number. And the atomic mass is also going to be 1 because we don't have any neutrons to add into that, right? So the atomic mass of this is 1. Now in the second isotope here, the atomic number is still 1, right? But the atomic mass number here is 1 proton plus 1 neutron, so it is 2. All right. And the third one, the atomic number is still 1 because we still only have the 1 proton, but the atomic mass is 3. Okay. So here you can see the atomic masses are changing between these isotopes, but they are all still atoms of the same element because they all have the same atomic number, which is 1. Right? They all only have 1 proton. They also only have 1 electron. Okay? So the atomic number tells you what the element is, what element you're looking at. The atomic mass really is just going to tell you what isotope of that element you are looking at. Okay, so how many neutrons there are within that element, within that atom. Okay, so hopefully this helps clear up a little bit for you the difference between ions and isotopes. If you have any questions, please let me know.